Welcome to Edeva, Traffic Safety Systems for a Livable City. Our hardware is called the Actibump. It is an active speed bump that is only a speed bump for those who speed. A radar measures the speed of oncoming vehicles, and if the vehicle is not speeding, then nothing happens. If the vehicle is speeding, a hatch is lowered a few centimeters into the road surface, creating a dent in the road, giving the driver a physical reminder of the speed limit. In connection to every site where the Actibump is installed, we can also install hardware for detection and classification of vehicles, transponder solutions for exemption from the function of the speed bump for vehicles such as emergency vehicles, and a weight in motion module where we weigh each individual axle and calculate the total weight of each vehicle. We also have a liveability sensor package, where we measure air quality, noise, and ground vibrations. This can be installed separately or where there is an Actibump. The software that handles the hardware is called EdevaLive. It is a software as a service. It visualizes the collected data and it can be accessed through a web interface. This system also handles remote monitoring of all the hardware. It stores data and we handle access to the system and, of course, web security. Dynamic solutions such as the Actibump not only creates a safe speed, it also creates a good traffic flow. Normally, the traffic flow manifests as some sort of bell curve, where some vehicles are speeding and others are not. What we actually want is this: as many vehicles as possible at the same speed on the correct side of the speed limit, while still allowing emergency vehicles to drive at the speed they need to go. If you use the regular static solutions, you get something like this. The heavier vehicles are forced to drive much slower than the lighter vehicles. Some cars may still be able to speed. But buses and trucks and emergency vehicles have to drive much slower. It is not necessarily safe because some vehicles can still speed, and it is not good for the environment when so many vehicles have to slow down a lot and then after the speed bump they will accelerate again. It creates higher fuel consumption, more noise, and more emissions. Regulating solutions such as traffic lights either make you stop or you're allowed to drive. It is not a traffic safety solution, it is a regulating solution. Pedestrians often cross the road even though the light is red, which makes it a dangerous situation and not a traffic safety system. So, in order to get this kind of traffic flow, we need to use a system that is selective on speed. The options are active speed bumps or traffic safety cameras. Using our active speed bump doesn't just give you a safe and accessible pedestrian crossing, it also creates a good accessibility for buses, with a comfortable ride at the speed limit instead of much slower. The real-time livability sensor system provides a lot of useful data for environmental planning, city planning, and traffic planning. The EdevaLive Smart City system is a managed service where we handle the remote monitoring of all the hardware and we store the data that is visualized and can be accessed through a web interface. Law enforcement agencies can also use the weight in motion system for screening in order to find overloaded vehicles. So where should the Actibump and the EdevaLive managed services for the smart city be used? There are some black spots in every city, places where there either have been accidents or where there are a lot of dangerous incidents, near accidents. There might be speeding issues both at the black spots and in other places. If there is an accident, the speed of the vehicle is the one factor that most affects the outcome of the accident. The higher the speed, the worse the outcome. Speeding issues can be resolved using the Actibump. EdevaLive managed services for the smart city are useful in places where there are bus routes. It provides good accessibility, a comfortable ride at the speed limit, which decreases travel time and increases the use of public transport. The livability in a city is highly affected by the air quality and the noise pollution. Measuring these factors gives you the possibility to follow up any changes, and all the data from EdevaLive combined gives you a sense of the pulse of the city. So where should the Actibump be placed? it can be used solely as a traffic calming device where there are speeding issues or accidents. But it can also be used for bus accessibility in combination with speeding issues or without speeding issues. If there are also livability issues, the system is even more cost-effective. The Actibump should not be placed everywhere. As you can see on this map, there are black spots where the Actibump would not be useful because the accidents are caused by something other than speed. The network of sensors and Actibumps gives you a real sense of the pulse of the city. You can see the effects of any changes in real time and over the lifespan of the system. This is a comparison of different traffic safety solutions. To the left, you find the cheapest solutions. They work where there are very few vehicles and where accessibility is not an issue. To the right of the cheapest solutions, we find some very common static solutions. They also have their place in a city, but there are also some places where they would cause more problems than they would solve, where they would create more emissions and more noise and more ground vibrations. The Actibump is placed in the same category cost-wise and result-wise as traffic safety cameras. It is also about the same cost as a traffic light, but it has a traffic safety effect that the lights lack. The Actibump is much cheaper than tunnels, bridges, and roundabouts. These solutions use up a lot of space and cost a lot of money. If you don't have enough space or not enough money to make a great separation, then the Actibump is definitely an option that will deliver a safe and accessible crossing. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us.